What happens when two of Hollywood's most respected and beloved personalities clash live on television? The answer might surprise you. What started as a friendly interview between Kelly Clarkson and Emmy-winning actor Jeff Daniels turned into one of the most uncomfortable and talked about moments in daytime television history. It all began like any other episode of The Kelly Clarkson Show. The set was bright, the audience buzzing, and Kelly, all smiles, greeted her guest with her trademark warmth. "Jeff, it's so good to have you here," she said enthusiastically. "I've been a fan for so long, and I just have to say, the newsroom changed how I think about television drama." Jeff smiled politely, nodding. "Thank you, Kelly, that means a lot. We worked really hard on that show. It was important to get the tone right." Kelly flipped through her notes, keeping the mood light. "You know, I was reading about your approach to acting," she said. "You've mentioned before that you don't really prepare the way other actors do, that you just show up and feel it out. Is that still true?" Jeff's expression shifted slightly, a flicker of irritation that the audience didn't catch. "Well," he began slowly, "I think that might be oversimplifying things. I do prepare. I just don't subscribe to one particular method. Every role is different." Kelly chuckled, unaware of the tension starting to build. Right. But you're not one of those method actors who stay in character for months. You're more, I don't know, spontaneous?" Jeff's jaw tightened. "I wouldn't call it spontaneous," he said evenly. "I'd call it adaptable. There's a difference between being unprepared and being flexible enough to respond to what's happening in the moment." The audience stayed cheerful, still clapping at all the right times. But Kelly, trying to keep the conversation light, pressed on. Okay, fair point. But come on, some actors take it way too seriously, right? You don't have to live in the woods for 6 months to play a guy who lives in the woods." Jeff didn't laugh. "Actually," he said quietly, "I think commitment to a role is something to be respected, not mocked. If an actor feels the need to immerse themselves completely, who am I to judge?" Kelly blinked, realizing she may have hit a nerve. "Oh, I didn't mean it like that," she said quickly. "I just meant, everyone has their own way. Yours just seems more relaxed." Jeff repeated the word, his tone cool. "Relaxed? Kelly, with all due respect, I've been doing this for over 40 years. I've worked with some of the best directors and actors in the world. What I do isn't relaxed. It's refined." The audience shifted in their seats. Kelly tried to recover. "Of course. I didn't mean to imply otherwise. I think what you do is amazing. Let's talk about your new project." But Jeff interrupted. Kelly, maybe we should talk about why I'm really here. Because it seems like you've already decided what kind of actor I am, and nothing I say will change that." Kelly's eyes widened. "What? No, that's not true. I'm a huge fan. I just wanted to have a conversation about your process." "A conversation," Jeff said, his voice sharper now, "usually involves listening. What you're doing is fitting me into a narrative. You've already written that thing. Laid-back actor who doesn't take things too seriously. That's not who I am, and frankly, it's insulting." The studio went completely silent. You could almost hear the camera zooming in. "Jeff," Kelly said carefully, "I promise that wasn't my intention. I just try to keep things fun and light." "Fun and light," Jeff echoed. "You know what's not fun? Being reduced to a caricature on national television. I came here because I respect you as a performer. I thought we'd have a real conversation about the work. Instead, I'm being asked to defend my entire career. Off camera, a producer gestured frantically for a commercial break, but Kelly waved it off. She wanted to fix it herself. "Okay," she said, taking a breath. "Let's reset. I messed up. I want to make it right." Jeff leaned back, studying her. "You want to make it right? Then stop treating your guests like they're here to entertain you. We're here to talk about our work, not to be the punchline of your jokes." "That's not what I was doing," Kelly said, her voice tight. "I ask tough questions sometimes, yes, but I also try to make people comfortable. That's my thing." "Your thing," Jeff repeated, "seems to be making assumptions, then getting defensive when someone calls you out." Kelly frowned. "Jeff, I think you're reading too much into this. I was making conversation, and that's what talk shows are. If every comment is going to be analyzed like this, we're never going to get anywhere." "Maybe that's the problem," Jeff said. "Maybe we shouldn't be trying to get anywhere. Maybe we should just be honest." The tension was thick. The audience didn't know whether to laugh or clap. Kelly tried to hold her ground. You think I'm playing games? She asked. I think you're trying to control a narrative, Jeff said calmly. And when I don't fit into that narrative, you scramble. That's not a conversation, Kelly. That's a performance. Kelly looked genuinely hurt. So you're saying everything I do is fake? I'm saying that right now. You care more about how this looks than about what I'm saying. You know what, Jeff? Kelly said, standing now. Maybe you're right. I do care about how this looks because I have a show to run, a crew to think about, and an audience that came for a conversation, not a therapy session. A therapy session? Jeff asked, standing too. I think you came in here with a chip on your shoulder. I asked you one question about your acting process, Kelly said, her voice rising. You turned it into a personal attack. Maybe this is more about you than me. Jeff's expression darkened. Kelly, I know when someone's genuinely interested and when they're checking boxes. Your questions weren't about understanding my work. They were about confirming your assumptions. That's not fair, Kelly shot back. You don't get to decide my intentions. If you took it the wrong way, that's on you. Jeff leaned forward, his tone cold but steady. When was the last time you actually listened to a guest's answer instead of planning your next question? When was the last time you let a moment breathe? Kelly's voice trembled. That's incredibly condescending. You're acting like I don't know how to do my job. I'm saying you've forgotten why you started, Jeff replied. You were a singer. You knew what it meant to be vulnerable. What happened to that person? She grew up, Kelly said sharply. She learned that this is a business. That entertainment means giving people what they came for. And what did they come for? Jeff asked. Surface-level banter? Pre-scripted anecdotes? Kelly's patience snapped. You don't get to tell me what my audience wants. You don't get to come here and lecture me. I'm not lecturing, Jeff said, his voice calm again. I'm trying to have a real conversation and you keep deflecting. I apologized, Kelly said, exasperated. I tried to reset. What more do you want? I want you to stop apologizing and start listening. Silence filled the room. Even the air seemed heavy. Finally, Kelly sat back down. Okay, she said quietly. I'm listening. What are you trying to say? Jeff took a breath. I came here expecting a peer, someone who understood the weight of what we do. Instead, I felt dismissed. That's not about you being a bad host. Kelly, it's about me feeling like my work was being diminished. Kelly nodded, her tone softening. And I'm saying you came in defensive, ready to be offended. Maybe you weren't being diminished. Maybe you're just not used to being challenged. Jeff's face hardened. You think I'm entitled? I think you're used to deference, Kelly said carefully. And when you didn't get it, you lashed out. I don't want deference, Jeff said. I want respect. And respect means engaging, not dismissing. Kelly threw up her hands. I am engaging! But nothing I say is enough for you. At what point do you take responsibility for your part? My part, Jeff said, raising his voice for the first time, is answering your questions honestly. You didn't like my answers. That's not on me. You're acting like you're some noble truth-teller, Kelly said bitterly. And I'm just some shallow talk show host. Jeff stood up and the audience went silent again. Kelly rose to meet him. I don't think I'm better than you, Jeff said quietly. But I do think I deserve to be heard without my words twisted. I didn't twist your words, Kelly said, her voice breaking slightly. I repeated what you said. You added your interpretation, Jeff said. You made it sound like I just wing it, like I don't care. That's not what I meant, Kelly said. You're taking everything personally. I'm defending my integrity, Jeff said. There's a difference between challenging and belittling. What you did cross that line. I never belittled you, Kelly said. If it came off that way, I'm sorry. But I can't keep apologizing for something I don't believe I did wrong. Jeff looked at her for a long time. Then quietly he said, Then we have nothing left to talk about. Jeff, please, Kelly started, but he was already unclipping his microphone. Thank you for having me, he said, his tone final. I hope your next guest gives you what you're looking for. Don't walk off, Kelly pleaded. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix, Jeff said. This is who we are. And sometimes that just doesn't work. Kelly stepped forward, her voice shaking. You don't get to walk away like this and pretend it's philosophical. You're uncomfortable. That's all this is. Jeff's eyes flashed. I've been interviewed by every major journalist in the country. Kelly, don't tell me I can't handle being questioned. They let you control the narrative, Kelly said, her voice firm. I didn't. That's why you're mad. Jeff's voice dropped almost a whisper. You've spent so long being everyone's sweetheart that you've forgotten how to be uncomfortable. And you, Kelly shot back, talk about honesty and respect but can't see past your own ego. Jeff shook his head sadly. I'm not disappointed in you, Kelly. I'm disappointed in what this became. You used to be real. Somewhere along the way, that got lost. Kelly's eyes glistened. You don't know me, she said. You don't know what it takes to do this every day. You come in for 20 minutes and judge me for not being the version of me you remember. Maybe you're right, Jeff said softly. But it doesn't change the fact that I feel dismissed. I leave here smaller than when I came. Kelly's voice cracked. And what am I supposed to do with that, Jeff? Carry your feelings while keeping this show alive? Maybe there's no good answer, Jeff said. Maybe we're both right and both wrong. Kelly shook her head. No, we could have had a great conversation, but you wouldn't let it happen. Jeff looked at her one last time. You can't build a great conversation on a flawed premise, he said quietly. Then tell me the truth, Kelly said. Tell me what it really means to you. No cameras, no audience, just talk to me. Jeff hesitated. For a second, it looked like he might. But then he looked around at the cameras, the lights, the silent audience, and shook his head. Not like this, he said. Not when everyone's waiting for a redemption moment. That's not real. That's just another performance. And with that, he placed the microphone on the table and walked off the stage, leaving Kelly standing there in stunned silence as the audience looked on, unsure whether they had just witnessed a meltdown or a moment of brutal honesty. Either way, it was television history.